This is Fox 6 News.
Every now and then I'm known to make a mistake. I did not make a mistake with this guy. But I can tell you this, he's going to be the next vice president of the United States.
Mitt Romney has made his VP pick. Representative Paul Ryan is the Republican presidential nominee's running mate.
He and I share one commitment. We will restore the greatness of this country.
The Wisconsin congressman is considered a rising GOP star, but can he help to elevate Romney all the way to the White House?
And that's our big story tonight. Spotlight on Wisconsin. Congressman Paul Ryan is joining Mitt Romney on the Republican ticket.
We're covering this story on all angles, starting in Richmond, Virginia. And that's where we find Mike Lowe, who's following the candidates on the campaign trail.
Good evening, Bev, and good evening, Tammy. We are live in Richmond, Virginia. This is the state where it all went down. Mitt Romney's 4-month search for a vice presidential candidate came down to this. And for months, speculation had been swirling around Paul Ryan. Within the last couple of days, the signs really started pointing to him. Well, tonight, the signs make it official. It's Romney-Ryan. Aboard the USS Wisconsin in Norfolk, Virginia, Mitt Romney fired a shot that reverberated across the political landscape.
In welcoming the next president of the United States, Paul Ryan.
42-year-old Janesville Congressman Paul Ryan is now Romney's running mate. The newly minted GOP ticket kicked off a 4-day bus tour. Saturday, there were 3 stops in Virginia, from Norfolk to Ashland, and then the big news came to this small town.
We were like, we should make shirts.
Manassas dressed for the occasion, and it's clear they're comfortable with Ryan.
I think he's got some good experience, and I think he's going to bring some fresh ideas.
Listening to Paul Ryan this morning, fabulous speech. And when I heard that he was going to be in Manassas, a friend of mine said, hey, you want to come down? And I thought, absolutely, didn't want to miss it.
Kathleen Donovan says she subscribes to Ryan's philosophy of fiscal discipline.
But you have to make choices. It's like, if you can't afford salmon, you eat chicken.
The move has electrified conservatives and has been deemed a choice that instantly recasts the election as a debate over the role of government.
Hey, guess what? Guess what? November 6th, we take our country back.
Paul Ryan took to the stage and delivered forceful remarks on his ideas to balance the budget and reduce the debt and deficit. He says President Obama's policies have set the country on the wrong path.
We're not going to fall for this kind of rhetoric that says to people that they're stuck in their station in life, victim of circumstances outside of their control, and only the government is here to help them cope with it. You know what? That's not who we are. That's not the American idea. That's not the American we know, and it's not the American we're going to have starting next year.
Today was a good day for me, I got to tell you.
And Mitt Romney was clearly pleased with his pick.
He's taken our party and with his intellectual leadership has helped make sure that we focus on values, that we fight for things we believe in. Sometimes our party has gone astray over the past years. And Paul Ryan said, no, bring it home to the things we care about. Make sure we care for our seniors, we care for our kids, and we stop spending what we don't have.
And today was viewed as the kickoff of a 4-day tour on bus through key battleground states. Now, tomorrow, both Romney and Ryan will be campaigning in North Carolina, and then both of them come home to Wisconsin for what they're calling a homecoming rally for Paul Ryan. Reporting live tonight in Richmond, Virginia, Mike Lowe, Fox 6 News.
Join us now for a little bit of insight. Good evening to you, Mike.
And good evening to you, Mary. This is the Denver skyline behind me. What better place to hold a political rally than in the Rockies? Today, Paul Ryan delivered one of his most pointed attacks on the President of the United States, but there was some irony in his visit to Colorado. Paul Ryan had long planned to be in Colorado this week, but it's fair to say he did not expect to be here as the Republican vice presidential candidate.
I was actually planning on being here in Colorado this week. Only on my family vacation. We come here every summer. I've been climbing 14ers for over 20 years here in this great state.
Instead of climbing those 14,000-foot peaks in the Rockies, he is ascending the heights of American politics.
What we need is leadership. Here is our commitment to you. We are not going to duck the tough issues. We're going to lead.
There is no question he is here because of his position as the nation's leading proponent of fiscal conservatism. At a rally in a suburban Denver high school gym, he distilled that position into one line.
We also had to stop spending money we just don't have.
His plan would slash government spending on many social welfare programs, and it would overhaul Medicare.
What we are offering is a very clear contrast.
He was sharply critical of the president's handling of both fiscal and economic issues.
And without a doubt, President Obama inherited a difficult situation. Here's the problem. He made it worse.
Those views are wrong. I fundamentally disagree with their vision for America.
Yeah, go down there, George.
And Paul Ryan was in Nevada later tonight attending fundraisers. It's fair to say, though, he probably had one eye on the Senate race in Wisconsin. Back to you in the studio.
Mike, I know that you've been with him in Virginia and North Carolina and back home and in Iowa and in Colorado. And maybe it's not a fair comparison because the ticket was in one place and Ryan was just in a couple others. Are the crowds getting bigger? Are they getting more enthusiastic?
Well, we certainly saw a bigger crowd and a more enthusiastic crowd today here in Colorado than we did yesterday at the State Fair in Iowa. Yesterday in Iowa, he was speaking in the famed soapbox, where politicians have been coming for decades to speak and give kind of short remarks to a small crowd. It's meant to be an intimate space. So that was yesterday in Iowa. Today it was a big rally with maybe 2,000-3,000 people packed inside of a high school gym, very enthusiastic about Paul Ryan being on this ticket here in Colorado.
Now we're going to start with Mike Lowe. He is in Danville, Kentucky right now. Mike?
Good evening, Brad and Ann. This was billed as the thrill in the Ville, but I can tell you as a product of one such family, this really more resembled an Irish Catholic family at Thanksgiving, having a testy argument over politics. You saw constant rolling of eyes, you saw facial expressions, interruptions, and really only the thinnest veneer of politeness. It was a feisty 69-year-old Vice President Joe Biden taking on a confident 42-year-old Paul Ryan. And what really happened was we saw the vice president going on offense. We saw him constantly interrupting Paul Ryan and really playing the role of a real-time fact checker. He had constant animated expressions, lots of looks of exasperation and bewilderment, bemusement, amusement, and whether you thought he was being rude or right on point, he clearly dominated the stage tonight. Now, the 90-minute debate covered a lot of ground on both foreign and domestic policy. The moderator of the debate, Martha Raddatz of ABC News, began the discussion on foreign policy, starting with the Obama administration's response to the attacks on the U.S. Embassy in Libya and the best way to prevent terrorism.
We should always stand up for peace, for democracy, for individual rights. And we should not be imposing these devastating defense cuts, because what that does, when we equivocate on our values, when we show that we're cutting our own defense, it makes us more weak. It projects weakness, and when we look weak, our adversaries are much more willing to test us. They're more brazen in their attacks, and our allies are less willing to trust us.
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
And why is that so?
Because not a single thing he said is accurate. First of all...
Be specific.
I will be very specific. Number one, this lecture on embassy security. The congressman here cut embassy security in his budget by $300 million below what we asked for, number one. So much for the embassy security piece. Number two, Governor Romney, before he knew the facts, before he even knew that our ambassador was killed, he was out making a political statement which was panned by the media around the world.
And it wasn't until a full half hour into the discussion that the candidates got to the top domestic issue, the economy. We'll have more on their sharp exchanges on that topic coming up at 10 o'clock. For now, reporting live in Danville, Kentucky, Mike Lowe, Fox 6 News.
Well, President Obama is watching the numbers come in Chicago. Last time he was outside. Tonight he is inside McCormick Place, and that's where Mike Lowe is kicking things off for our election coverage tonight. Hi, Mike.
And good evening, guys. We are inside of McCormick Place, just on the shore of Lake Michigan, where 10,000 of the president's supporters have flooded into this massive convention hall to hear what they wanted to hear. Obama takes Wisconsin. And earlier today, we talked to a top campaign official about the one number they were focused on.
We need high youth turnout. We're really looking for those colleges to turn out on behalf of the president. And so far, everything that we had projected is holding true.
The Obama campaign had banked on its vaunted ground game in Wisconsin.
Hello, Wisconsin!
Obama had set up 67 field offices in the state compared with just 25 for the Romney campaign. They were confident they could churn out the turnout.
Everything that we expected to be going on in Wisconsin is actually happening. We're getting good turnout. So today we're just watching everything that we planned for all of this time happen. And we're very pleased with where the president is right now in Wisconsin.
As I traveled around to Waukesha, to Watertown, I've been all over the state of Wisconsin. There are genuine committed volunteers and people working night and day.
The president is now back in Chicago watching the results. His campaign is looking at Wisconsin as a tricky state that went for him in 2008, but also elected conservative Governor Scott Walker and produced the Republican VP nominee.
The state tightened up a little bit when Paul Ryan was picked as the vice president, which it should. You know, he's the favorite son in that state. But we've had a lead in Wisconsin now for a good amount of time, several weeks, and if not months, since the conventions. We feel good about where we are. We believe that Wisconsin is going to be in the president's column tonight.
And that is exactly where it ended up, in the president's column. Wisconsin stays blue after a bitter battle here in the Badger State, and now the thousands of supporters here in McCormick Place are simply waiting to see what happens in the other battleground states. Reporting live tonight in Chicago, Mike Lowe, Fox 6 News.
All right, we'll get back to you shortly. Thank you, Mike. And Mitt Romney, close to his home base tonight as well.